Hi, Rotarians. My name is Ed Kaleher, and I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Austintown, Ohio. Our club has 33 members currently, and we consider ourselves, as many of you probably do, small but mighty, right? Um, I've served as club president, and now I'm an assistant governor in my district. I've attended various trainings, meetings, and conferences, and this short presentation is my attempt to share some thoughts and ideas on issues that I believe are absolutely critical to Rotary's future. I realize that 6 years as a Rotarian may not qualify me to make remarks like this about the future of a worldwide organization that has over 1 million members, is nearly 115 years old. But I think you'll agree that there are some pretty common themes that come up during our conferences, in communication from leadership and inside of our clubs. So, all of those themes seem to revolve around membership. It's not a secret that Rotary has a 14% attrition rate. That means we're losing the equivalent of an entire Rotary membership about every 8 years. In the US, I believe we've had 1 year of membership growth in the last 20. Rotary's numbers have only really stayed steady, it seems, because of strong growth in regions like India and Southeast Asia. So, what's going on? Is Rotary actually at risk as an organization, or is there just a complex number of technological, socioeconomic, and cultural forces at play that are evolving Rotary in terms of representation by country? And I guess I would break down my personal opinion like this. First, I believe that Rotary is certainly evolving and that it's growing more rapidly in countries that are in different phases of their development. This seems clear on a lot of levels. Growth figures are pretty empirical, and the evolution, so to speak, of Rotary seems to make sense from a social, political, behavioral point of view. But I also believe that the most practical approach, specifically for us here in the US, is to assume that Rotary is indeed at risk as an organization. But why, right? Why do I believe our most practical approach as Rotarians is to assume that the entire organization is at risk? I'll tell you. First of all, Rotary is a US based organization, and America is still the largest representative population of Rotarians. This plays a significant factor, right, in terms of fundraising influence worldwide. So, seems that if Rotary is in decline in the US, then there are only two outcomes that are likely. Either Rotary maintains its size, status, global impact, regardless of the membership numbers in the US, or a decline in US Rotarian population will eventually lead to a weakened and less impactful or even extinct Rotary. So I choose to assume number two. And let me give you one more list as to why I assume number two. First of all, I'm an American Rotarian, and I'm worried about Rotary in the US. If you're a Rotarian in the US, I'd be shocked that that sentiment hasn't at least occurred to you, whether at your club, in your district, or just you personally. The data is very clear, and the concerns about membership decline and age are palpable, right, at every meeting and interaction that I seem to have with Rotarians. Number two, I believe that the challenges we face as US Rotarians are challenges that every country will face inevitably. So we may as well create as much urgency as possible and light a fire right here in the birth country of Rotary. Doing so will not only strengthen Rotary overall, but I believe it can and will set the stage for a greater evolution of Rotary, one that isn't just dependent on the developmental progress and societal needs of Rotarian nations, but one that's based on the rapidly changing dynamics of a digital age. So maybe you're wondering, okay, what do I think these challenges are, and what is the fire or the fires that I think we need to light? Um, Super glad you asked that, and humbled that you've stayed with this video this far. So, concerns about Rotary membership have been discussed since at least the late 1990s, and there are some great articles, really well thought out and articulated ideas out there that everybody can find via search engine. Right? Just try googling Rotary membership decline. One person and resource in particular that I think is really valuable is a gentleman named Quentin Wodon. I hope I'm saying his name right, Wodon. Quentin is a Rotarian and he's an economist. He's actually a lead economist at the World Bank. And while his blog doesn't seem to have been active for a bit, I'm assuming he's still a member of the Rotary Club of Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. And Quentin has written extensively about the Rotary experience, including a series of articles called the Rotary Membership Analysis. And I highly suggest taking a look, and I'll provide a link somewhere wherever I post this video content. In one of the articles, Quentin spelled out 6 factors that he believes are contributing to the membership difficulties being experienced in North American Rotary clubs. Excuse me. So those factors are a lack of resource. People have less money to give or share with Rotary. Lack of time, right? People have less time to give, of course. Less prestige to Rotary membership, which I think is a very interesting analysis. Less business networking opportunities. A lack of vitality in our clubs, and then just simply a lack of interest in community service. So from my point of view, the list is pretty darn spot on. These factors are at the center of pretty much every presentation I've sat through from various levels of Rotary leadership. But what I want to propose to you is this. I believe there's a more fundamental challenge and maybe even cause underlying all of these factors. Right? What prevents people from joining Rotary? Worse yet, what provides or what prompts good people to leave? What's at the root of that lack of resource or time? What's contributing to that lowered sense of prestige or vitality in the clubs? I believe that a primary force, if not the primary force at work that's underlying all of the challenges we have to find, engage, and retain millions of great Rotarians is the influence of big data. Okay, big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence. They may seem like recent developments are being talked about quite a bit right now, but the effects of these technologies are already being felt in a big, big way in our lives, in our businesses, and in our clubs. The technologies are changing. These technologies are changing the way people work, the way people spend their time, their income, and the way that they think. Time, resource, family, business, community. All of this is being dramatically affected by a changing societal psychology driven by algorithms engineered for economic advancement. Okay, so more simply stated, technology has changed our society. We know that. We get that. But what we often don't get is how dramatically that technology has changed our minds. And more specifically, the minds of the people that we'd like to recruit into the world's greatest service organization. So here's what I'd like you to consider. We can't recruit and retain Rotarians like we did in 1950 or 1960 or 1980. The world has changed because of big data technologies, and we must change in kind. If we're competing for people's time, energy, and resource, then we must know who we're competing with. And you know who we're competing with? We're competing with the Facebook algorithm that consumes the time that younger people might put into service. We are competing with the automation that causes businesses necessarily to focus more and more on labor efficiency and less on sending their leaders to join Rotary. You know who we're competing with? We're competing with charitable organizations everywhere who are half as efficient when it comes to utilizing time and resource, but 10 times as savvy when it comes to reaching people through digital marketing. If we want to understand how to reach more people, how to show them the gratitude and abundance that comes from participating in Rotary, then we've got to understand what is influencing them. We've got to understand how big data technologies are influencing their lives, how they were influencing their why, right? Their purpose, their drive for significance. And we've got to get in the game, right? Because as much as it seems like I might have just spent the last minute casting a negative light on big data or artificial intelligence, that's really not the point. There's much good that will come of the world equal to the threats of AI. But the point is that big data, the point isn't that big data is bad. The point is that it's already here and its effects are inevitable and they're everywhere. The point is that Rotary has got to adjust its recruiting methodology right now. Rotary must evolve, just like every business in the economy is being forced to evolve, right? We must market smarter, we must be scalable, we must utilize data and influence and predictive technologies. Rotary needs to adapt to the changing needs of our members and potential members, and we need a digital strategy. So I'd like to invite you to review the next video proposal, because this little soapbox video, it's not just about theory. I want it to be about action. In the next video, I've laid out 8 ideas that are meant to provide our clubs with new, exciting, scalable programs that will help us invigorate our clubs, connect with our communities more, and attract new members. These ideas are for debate. These ideas are for incubation, but I hope you'll take a look. And here's one more point. This is my final point, I promise. But it's the most important from my perspective. The ideas that you're going to see at the center of those is a fundamental principle and opportunity that I believe Rotary should embrace with all that we are. I believe there is a sleeping giant within our ranks that we have failed to awaken for way too long. There's a quality in Rotarians that the world needs now more than ever before, and Rotary should be its champion. I'm talking about leadership, but I'm not talking about traditional leadership. I'm specifically talking about servant leadership. Now, RI promotes leadership to a degree through RLI and certainly RILA, but to me, the surface has not begun to be scratched. With the rate of change our society is going through, I believe servant leadership is desperately needed. And I believe Rotary should be the global leader in that philosophy and in that strategy. Producing servant leaders should be added as a fundamental mission of Rotary. I mean, my goodness, the 4-way test already embodies the fundamentals of the strategy: honesty, communication, empathy, trust, stewardship. It's all right there. And we've got a vehicle to move it forward. So you'll see that principle, servant leadership, is at the center of the ideas that I'm proposing to roll out, these ideas that are scalable, to put us in the game, to reach those new recruits, figure out their psychology, get to their why, use scalable technology to do that. At its core, servant leadership. That's what I believe the big opportunity is for our clubs and for Rotary worldwide to attract a whole new generation of leaders. So I hope you'll check that next presentation out. Thanks for listening to me for a few minutes. I hope we can meet and work together one day.